puppies. Please like and subscribe if you like this content and it's helpful for you. It helps support my efforts in providing free quality dog training and rescue information. Here I am to help you with some tips that I've learned by fostering a couple hundred dogs, and lots of those were puppies. And I'm gonna be assisted in this video by my foster puppy, Sir Gallivant. He is a little Chihuahua puppy and he's 6 weeks old. So he was removed from the litter too young because he was found wandering around the streets. And this will make house training a little bit more challenging because he's very young and just needs to go potty a lot. But on the other hand, he's a good stable pup and he's learning quick. Usually if I bring in an adult dog as a foster dog, I can have them house trained in a week, usually a few days. Consistency and watchfulness is used. This process is very easy with most dogs. If you are still struggling after using these suggestions, please go ahead and hire a professional, or one of my favorite books is by Job Evans. So Sir Gallivant has a few special requirements since he's so little. He wants to play right now. I'll go over those as well as some requirements of adult dogs. So I have house trained a lot of dogs and there's always a few individualities to it, but this is my method and it's worked great. Use a crate to house train your dog. This is the #1 most effective way to house train your dog. With puppies, I also use a puppy pen. The best way to house train a dog or puppy that I have found is to keep them from going to the bathroom in the house and praise them for going outside. And a crate can help you do this. If I'm going to be gone for a while, let's say 2 to 3 hours, and I have a tiny puppy like I have now, he may not be able to hold it that long, so I'll leave him in a puppy pen instead so he can use the puppy pad but still have a clean place to rest. My little puppy setup for only one puppy. He's a small puppy, so I have this type of setup here, but it allows him to have enough room. So he has his little water and food area there. And then I have some puppy pads, which you can see he knows how to use, in one area. And then I have his little bed here. And a few little tips are, I like this kind of bowl because if they step in it, it's not going to tip over as easily as the bowl with the other side. So I like the bowl with these kind of slope sides. And then I like to use a little bed, especially for puppies this young, because they've just left their litter mates. And I also put something like this little stuffed thing or maybe a rolled up towel in there for them to kind of feel like there's another puppy in there. And then we have a few like little chew items in here that he might like to chew on. And he also eats in here. So having these separate areas helps them learn about house training. When I'm not here, he stays in here, or when he's napping, he stays in here. And like I said, he's small enough he can't get out, so that's a big concern. You want to make sure the puppy's not going to climb the sides of the pen as well. If they do, you might want to use a large wire crate instead of an open top. If the puppy is big enough and old enough to hold their pee and poop for as long as I'm going to be gone, I will use a crate instead. It's very difficult to watch a puppy or a new dog 100% of the time to make sure they're not going to go potty in the house. So that's why I use a crate. You want to crate your dog or puppy whenever you cannot closely supervise them. At busy times in the household, for example, getting ready for school, when the puppy is napping, and during the night. I always keep another crate or move the crate to my bedroom for nighttime. Also, the great thing about dogs and puppies is they don't like to poo and pee where they eat and sleep. So oftentimes I will feed the puppy in their crate as well, just to reinforce the idea that they shouldn't go to the bathroom in there. And they also sleep in the crate, which is, again, another reinforcer not to go potty in there. Dogs like to be clean, and that's why we can live with them in our house and house train them. So an essential piece of equipment for house training dogs or puppies is a crate. And I prefer a plastic crate because it's much harder to get out of. Dogs can bend the wire crates pretty easily, and it's also a little more quiet and relaxing in there. Blocks out more of the sound and more of the vision of, whatever might be happening in the house. For the very young puppy that I have right now, I actually am putting a puppy pad in here, and that's because at night he has some worms which he's being treated for, but until his poops get more normal, he has to go pretty often. And so sometimes at night, even though he's in my room, I don't have time to get up and get him out of the crate fast enough. So in this case only, I would put a puppy pad in the crate. Usually if puppies don't have this issue and they're much bigger and older, I'm not going to put a puppy pad in the crate because these have a smell in them that make the dog want to go potty on them. I don't want to get a dog in the habit of going potty in a crate, except, like I said, in certain cases like the one I have now. So usually in this case, I'm putting a puppy pad on the bottom, and then I take like an old hand towel and I just put it in the back. And then I want to give him a little nest. Now, what I don't use is a big bed in here. Big beds are too hot, and especially if it takes up the whole bottom of the crate, the puppy has nowhere to go if it gets too hot. Plus, usually, if there is an accident, I don't want something that hard to wash. So I use like an old fleece or something like this, and I make a little nest out of it, right? So it's kind of cozy. I put that in the back so the puppy can kind of nest in it if he wants, but if he gets hot, he can go here. If you're having real house training problems with your puppy, you might need to use a smaller crate so they can't potty in one half and then sleep in the other. Usually I would be using a much smaller crate for this puppy. I want it big enough for them to be able to stand up, turn around, and stretch out in there, but that's it. If you don't want to make a nest for whatever reason in there, let's say you have kind of a dirty puppy and you don't want to have to wash that many linens, you can just use a towel, and then I take another hand towel and just roll it up and put it in there on the side. This is so the puppy has something in there to associate still being maybe with his litter, and kind of soften the blow of being, totally by himself for the first few nights. As the puppy gets older, I'll take this out. You don't need it anymore because he'll be used to sleeping by himself. During the nighttime, I use the crate and it's in my bedroom. This is so I can hear the puppy if they whine and need to go out. The other thing you might want to do is to put a few layers of towels down in here. You could use 2 layers of towels and then roll up a third towel just for comfort. Or you can use like a little, stuffed animal in there too instead of the rolled up towel. But this way, if your puppy happens to have an accident during the night especially, you can pull this towel out and you still have one in there to put the puppy on. This is nice at night so you don't have to fumble around for another towel. Another helpful tip is stay outside with your dog or puppy. Hey dude, hey. A lot of people will just count on the dog going out the dog door and assume they go to the bathroom, but they don't always. So I always escort the dog or puppy out in the yard. Of course, a puppy this small should never be out in the yard by themselves anyway. That's why he got lost in the first place. Go with your dog outside and make sure they go potty. That way you can also praise them when they go potty. And yes, this means in the winter. This means at 6 a.m. This means at 10 p.m. at night, you need to go with them. And if you're consistent about it and you teach the dog the words, go potty or whatever you want your command to be for going potty, it won't take the dog that long to go to the bathroom, and you'll learn their schedule. If you're feeding your dog too much, of course, it's going to cause more to come out the other end. So if your dog is having diarrhea, or especially a little puppy like this guy, you might be overfeeding. I know when I first got him, I was probably giving him too much food because I've never had a puppy this small. So I cut back his food substantially, plus dewormed him and gave him some probiotics. And now I think we're on the right path because he's having nice, solid, regular poops and not as frequently. Watch your dog or puppy. A lot of people will allow their puppy to wander around the house, and they have no idea what the puppy's doing. And of course, then the puppy's going to pee and poop many places in the home, especially a young puppy, because if left to their own devices, I find they may pee every 30 minutes. So it's really important to watch your puppy. If you see signs of the puppy needing to go potty, pick it up and take it outside. Signs that a puppy may need to go potty are whining, sniffing, stopping an activity, and then going to sniff somewhere else, wandering off to a different part of the house, doing the little circle. Sometimes they circle before they go potty, and going to the door. A lot of little puppies even will get the idea that they go to the door to go outside to potty. I get requests a lot from my clients that they want their dog to tell them they need to go potty outside. I have had hundreds of dogs through my house, and I would say maybe 25% of those dogs will tell me they need to go potty. It is my responsibility as a pet owner to let that dog or puppy outside enough that it doesn't have to go potty in the house. It's not the dog's responsibility to tell you to let it out. I also don't use any dog doors. I am home enough that I can let the puppy or dog in and out enough that they need to go potty. If you work longer hours, you may have to alter all of these tips to suit your schedule, but you can still utilize the tips to help you. Please deworm your dog or puppy and make sure they don't have giardia. If you're having trouble with them peeing in the house, make sure they don't have a urinary tract infection. If they have a medical reason for pooping and peeing in the house or having diarrhea, you're just fighting a lost cause without treating the medical issues. I've had many dogs with urinary tract infections that show no common symptoms at all. They don't go in the house, but they will go outside more often or maybe pee more on walks. And my other dogs are overly interested in where they pee, so my dogs will also tell me if that dog has a urinary tract infection. The gold standard would be to take a fecal and urine sample into the vet and get it checked. You should do at least the fecal sample for any puppies or dogs you get. You can buy dewormer over the counter. You can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it at your local pet store. And this is my go-to. It's a generic form of fenbendazole, and this treats giardia and worms. This is what I prefer to use because the dogs I get in rescue, who knows what they might have, and I just do this as a preventive measure, basically. You can get just canine dewormer as well. That's only a 1 tablet treatment, which is a little bit easier than this. Just get your dog checked for worms. Even if you got the dog from the breeder, signs of dogs and puppies having worms are mucousy poop, diarrhea, bloated belly. You'll see this picture here of the puppy I have before he was dewormed and after. Being very hungry or generally not feeling well, having gas, that sort of thing. People always say, well, I didn't see worms in their poop, so I assume they didn't have worms. You will not always see worms in their poop if they have worms. So please be proactive, give your puppy the best start possible. If they don't have worms, but they're having a little diarrhea, you might consider some Fortiflora. It's a probiotic. Something I particularly like, Dr. Harvey's Runs Be Done. I'm not getting paid to recommend these. These are things I use a lot and they happen to work really well. One other important thing to do with your puppy is to limit their freedom. And this doesn't mean to keep them in a crate all the time. It just means to limit their freedom in the house so that they can't run off and go potty in a different part of the home. But a lot of times people let puppies run around their house without supervision. So you always want to supervise your puppy, keep an eye on your puppy. I use a lot of baby gates and puppy pens, crates. Keeping the puppy within your eyesight will help you see when they start the signs of having to go potty, and will help you take them outside in a timely manner. Ideally, you always want to take your puppy outside before they start to go potty, just when you notice they may have to go. Times most dogs and puppies need to go potty are after eating, after waking up, during play, usually. During play, if they stop playing and go to do something else, they'll actually, a lot of times they might, like for example, if he's playing in my sunroom and then he stops playing and then walks towards the door because he understands the door brings him out to the yard, and this is where he usually goes potty. Then I usually take him outside, and usually he goes right away. Because I've had a lot of puppies in my house, I probably have more equipment than most people. But I would suggest just to invest in some baby gates, or some kind of gate that you can put up and take down. With me, my puppies are always in the room that I am in. And I have one gate that I can move around. It folds up like an accordion. And then I have other fixed gates in my home that I can take up or down depending on the puppy. This really helps with house training because the puppy is close enough to you that you can see when it needs to go potty. If the puppy is, let's say you're in the kitchen and the puppy's in your living room, you can't really see what it's doing well enough to catch it when it shows you the signs that I mentioned earlier that it needs to go potty. Also, it's very natural for puppies to want to sneak off to a part of the house that they don't eat or sleep in, again, because they like to keep that area clean. And so allowing them to have freedom to the whole house is kind of setting them off to develop that habit of maybe sneaking off to a guest bedroom or something out of the way that you don't use that often to use as their bathroom because it's not near where they eat and sleep. Let your puppy out or new dog out very often. I would rather err on the side of letting them out too often than not often enough. Like I said, with small breed puppies, they almost have to pee every 30 minutes. With larger breed puppies, they can maybe go 45 minutes to an hour, but that is kind of a max, especially if they're out of the crate. If they're in a crate, they will tend to hold it longer. So about a 10-week-old large breed puppy can be left in a crate for 2 to 3 hours and still manage to not go potty in it. I find a lot of people don't let their puppies out often enough, and they're kind of waiting again for the puppy to tell them they need to go out. And then before they know it, the puppy's peed on the floor or pooped in a corner or something like that. It's up to you to take the puppy out often enough to develop the habit of going to the bathroom outside. If they develop the habit of going to the bathroom inside, then it makes it harder to change that habit and create the new habit of going outside. For an adult dog, I'll try and take them out every 2.5 to 3 hours. Tell your dog the command you want it to know for going potty when it's going.
Boy, go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Oh, that's a good boy. Good boy. Yay. Good boy. He already understands to go a little bit away from the house to potty. Good boy, buddy. Good boy. Go potty. Good boy.
While the dog's going potty, you say go potty or get busy or hurry up, whatever you want to use. When your puppy or dog does go potty outside, you want to celebrate quietly. You don't want to yell or get so excited you might scare them or startle them, but you're like, yay, good boy, good potty. With fearful dogs, it might just be good job. It might be a little pet. Some people give treats to dogs for pottying outside. I don't find it's necessary, but if you're going to give a treat to a dog for pottying outside, you want to give that treat as soon as that dog is done going to the bathroom, not when it finishes going to the bathroom and runs to you. That means you're just giving it the treat for coming to you, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not what your intention is. So if you're going to reward a dog for going potty outside, you need to do it right when that dog finishes going potty.
Here are a few other tips to help with house training your dog or puppy. Don't overfeed your puppy. This can cause diarrhea and make it difficult for your puppy to hold its poop. Neuter your male dogs once they reach maturity. Neutering can help eliminate marking in the home, but you must also make an effort to train your dog. It's okay to say no firmly if you catch your dog peeing or pooping in the house. Then take the dog outside. But it is not okay to punish your dog after they have gone potty in the house, or be overly harsh with your dog, or hit your dog. Never punish a dog after they have gone potty in the house. The dog will look sad because you're upset, but the dog will not understand why. Be fair and kind to your dog as they are learning how to potty outside. And if your dog has an accident in the house and you didn't notice it, hit yourself with a rolled up newspaper for not watching your dog. It is ultimately your responsibility.
I hope these tips can really help you improve your house training efforts with your dog or puppy. Puppies can be fairly reliably house trained by about 12 to 14 weeks. However, house training a dog totally will take months through its maturity till about a year of age. So always keep an eye on your dog or puppy when it's new in your home.